Rod Stewart, the guy with the super cool voice behind songs like Maggie May and Do You Think I'm Sexy, isn't just a singer. He's like a hurricane of music, rocking stages for over 60 years. His scratchy voice has shouted out stories of love, heartbreak, and rebellion to millions of fans. He's so awesome that he was even knighted, which means he's like a musical superhero. But life hasn't been easy for him. He fought off thyroid cancer, which almost took his voice, and prostate cancer, which nearly ended his life. Still, Rod kept singing, like nothing could stop him. Now, as he's getting close to 80, something tough is bothering him, something heavy that even his epic concerts can't fix. Before we dive in, hit that like button and drop a red heart to show some love for Rod's amazing talent. Rod's story didn't start with bright lights or screaming fans. It began in a small apartment above a newspaper shop in Highgate, London, where he was born in 1945. He was the youngest of 5 kids in a family with a Scottish dad, Robert, who used to build houses and later ran the shop, and an English mom, Elsie, who kept everyone together. Life was simple but tough, with the shop's bell ringing all day and the smell of newspapers everywhere. As a kid, Rod sometimes felt lonely, like his dreams were slipping away. School wasn't much fun for Rod either. At 11, he failed an important test and went to a school that didn't feel like it opened many doors. But on the soccer field, he was a star. By his teens, he was leading his school team and dreaming of playing for Arsenal, his favorite team. His dad, who used to play and coach soccer, cheered him on. But in 1961, when Rod was 16, he got heartbreaking news. He tried out for a soccer team called Brentford, but they said he wasn't good enough. That rejection hurt like crazy. It was like his biggest dream died. With soccer gone, Rod worked random jobs, like delivering stuff or printing designs. One tough job was digging graves at Highgate Cemetery. The smell of dirt stuck with him, and it taught him how fast life can pass by. But 2 things kept him going: building tiny model train sets, where he could control everything, and a beat-up guitar his dad got him in 1959. When he played that guitar, his sadness turned into music. He wasn't a superstar yet, but he was learning how to turn his pain into something powerful. Rod admitted later that soccer was his first love, but music became his way to fight back. Every rough note in his voice carries the sound of that kid who wouldn't give up, even when life said no. His music is proof that sometimes the best songs come from the toughest moments. By 18, Rod was out on London's streets with just a harmonica and a guitar. Music wasn't just fun, it was how he survived after soccer let him down. He'd play in busy spots like Leicester Square, where every coin tossed his way felt like a win. People started calling him Rod the Mod because of his cool hair and fancy suits. But deep down, he was still a kid who wanted to be noticed. The pain from that soccer rejection stuck with him, but it pushed him to keep going. In 1963, he joined a small band called The Dimensions, playing in tiny pubs. Every gig was a chance to prove he was somebody. His voice, raw and real, made people stop and listen. A few years later, at 21, he got a big break with the Jeff Beck Group, led by a guitar hero named Jeff Beck. Rod finally got to play on real stages with loud amps and his name in magazines. But even then, he felt like he was in Jeff's shadow. People called him Jeff Beck's singer, and that stung worse than the soccer rejection. He sang his heart out, but the cheers were mostly for Jeff. That feeling of being invisible while everyone heard his voice was tough, but it lit a fire in Rod. He decided he wouldn't stay someone else's backup singer. He promised himself that one day, everyone would know his name and his songs. In 1969, at 24, Rod took a huge step. He released his first solo album, An Old Raincoat Won't Ever Let You Down. It wasn't a huge hit, but it was his. He wasn't just Jeff Beck's singer anymore. He was Rod Stewart. Then, in 1971, at 26, he dropped Every Picture Tells a Story, with the song Maggie May. That song was like a bomb. It mixed fun, rebellion, and a little sadness, and it made the world fall in love with Rod. His voice, his story, his name, they were finally front and center. Almost overnight, Rod Stewart, the kid who once dug graves in Highgate, became a superstar. His songs like Tonight's the Night and Do You Think I'm Sexy blasted through radios and filled huge stadiums from Los Angeles to Tokyo. His wild blonde hair and raspy voice were everywhere, and he did something incredible. He had a #1 hit song in every decade for 6 decades straight. That's a big deal, putting him up there with music legends. Fans loved him, and even critics who used to brush him off admitted he was unstoppable. To the world, Rod seemed like he had it all: fame, confidence, and a life most people only dream of. But being a star came with a heavy price, one that hurt more than any failure ever could. The fame that made Rod a legend also broke apart the people he cared about most. His band, Faces, was like a family, guys he laughed and made music with. But by the mid-1970s, things got messy. Rod's huge success made his bandmates feel left behind, like they were stuck in his shadow. Some even said he ditched them to chase fame. Years later, Rod said, "I never wanted to lose them." Success can be cruel. It pulls you away from the people you love. When Faces broke up, it wasn't just the end of a band. It felt like losing brothers. That pain hit Rod hard, like a wound from his teenage years opening up again. On top of that, the media was mean. Reporters called him a sellout, saying he cared more about fame than real music. They mocked his flashy style, leopard print clothes and wild parties, calling him Rod the Mod, like it was a joke. To them, he was just a show, not a person. But those words hurt because Rod had fought so hard to be seen for who he really was. Even with millions of fans cheering, he felt alone backstage, where the silence was louder than any crowd. The stage was his kingdom, but when the lights went out, he was just a guy missing the friends and family he'd lost along the way. Every song he sang carried that sadness, hidden in his rough, powerful voice. The world saw a party guy, but Rod was singing through pain, turning heartbreak into music that touched millions. Even with all his success, Rod carried a deep scar from when he was 18. Back in 1963, before he was famous, he became a dad to a baby girl named Sarah Streeter. But he was just a kid himself, with no money, no steady job, and no way to take care of her. He made the tough choice to let her be adopted. "It broke my heart," he said years later. "I didn't even know who I was yet, let alone how to be a dad." That choice haunted him. Even when he became a superstar with Maggie May in 1971, the roar of the crowds couldn't drown out the quiet pain of knowing his daughter was out there, living a life without him. Sarah grew up with loving adoptive parents, but she always felt something was missing. She'd see Rod on TV or in magazines, not knowing he was her dad, and wonder about her roots. It wasn't until 2007, after her adoptive parents passed away, that she reached out to him. By then, Rod was in his 60s, and Sarah was in her 40s. When they finally met, it was like time stopped. Rod said, "I missed her whole life." That's something you don't get back. Sarah felt like she found a piece of herself she'd been searching for. Their reunion wasn't a perfect fix, but it showed that love can still grow, even after years apart. That pain shaped Rod's music, giving his voice a mix of strength and sadness that makes his songs so real. In the late 1970s, Rod thought he could build the family he always wanted. At 34, he married actress Alana Hamilton in 1979, hoping to start fresh. They had 2 kids, Kimberly and Sean, and for a while their fancy Hollywood life seemed perfect: parties, limos, and happy family moments. Rod thought he'd finally left his old mistakes behind, but fame kept pulling him away on tours, and the pressure of being a celebrity couple broke their marriage. By 1984, they divorced. Rod was crushed. He'd promised himself his kids would never feel abandoned like Sarah did, but now Kimberly and Sean were growing up in a split home. Watching Sean struggle with addiction later on hurt Rod even more. "It's hard to keep a family together when the world feels like it belongs to you, but your home doesn't," he said. Fame gave him everything, except the one thing he wanted most. In the mid-1980s, Rod tried again with model Kelly Emberg. Their daughter Ruby, born in 1987, brought him so much joy. Holding her felt like a second chance to be the dad he always wanted to be. Their home was full of love and laughter, But fame got in the way again. Tours and recordings kept Rod away, and by 1989, he and Kelly split. Rod was heartbroken, feeling like he'd failed Ruby too. "I thought I'd learned," he said, but history repeated itself. Ruby grew up knowing her dad loved her, but she felt the distance. "Sometimes it seemed like he belonged more to the world than to us," she said. That pain became another scar for Rod, a reminder that even a rock star can't always keep a family together. By 1990, Rod still hadn't given up on love. At 45, he married Rachel Hunter, a 21-year-old supermodel from New Zealand. To him, she was more than a beautiful face. She was his chance at a forever family. They had 2 kids, Renee in 1992 and Liam in 1994. And for a while, their life looked like a fairy tale. Pictures showed them smiling, Rod's wild hair next to Rachel's grace, with their kids laughing at home. Rod thought he'd finally gotten it right, but the age gap and his constant touring created distance. Rachel, so young when they married, felt lost in his huge world. "We were living in 2 different worlds," Rod said later, his voice full of regret. Their marriage started to crack, and the dream of a perfect family slipped away again. Rod's story isn't just about hit songs or sold-out shows. It's about a guy who reached the top, but kept losing the things that mattered most. His music is so powerful because it's full of his real-life struggles, losing friends, family, and pieces of himself. Every song is like a piece of his heart, showing that even legends feel pain, and the brightest stars often carry the heaviest shadows. In 1999, Rod Stewart's world shattered when his wife, Rachel Hunter, left him. At 54, he thought she was his forever love, but their 25-year age gap and his endless tours drove them apart. Their kids, Renee and Liam, were just 7 and 5, left confused by a broken home. Rod was crushed, saying, "I thought she was the one. I was wrong." The pain was worse than losing his daughter Sarah to adoption in 1963 or his divorce from Alana Hamilton in 1984. He stopped believing in love, guarding his heart for years. But then, Penny Lancaster, a 26-year-old model and photographer, entered his life. Unlike his past, Penny brought calm and steadiness. They married in 2007 when Rod was 62 and had 2 sons, Alistair and Aiden. Penny gave him peace, a home filled with family dinners and love. Rod, once haunted by loss, found joy in being a present dad, even as an older father. His 8 kids, once scattered by divorce, grew closer, filling his life with grandchildren and laughter. Fate wasn't done testing him. In 2000, thyroid cancer stole his voice, the core of who he was. After surgery, he could only whisper, fearing he'd never sing again. "My voice is all I've ever had," he said. Months of grueling rehab brought it back, scarred but alive. In 2016, prostate cancer struck. For 3 years, he fought quietly, hiding his fear from fans. Every performance was a battle against his body's betrayal. In 2019, he announced he was cancer-free, urging others to get tested. His knees, worn from soccer, were replaced with steel, and his ankle was fused. But he kept performing, saying, "If I can't perform, I don't know how to live." By 2025, at nearly 80, Rod's fortune was $300 million, with a $74 million Beverly Hills estate and luxury cars. But wealth couldn't buy health or youth. "Money builds castles, but not permanence," he said. His real treasure was Penny and his kids. In 2024, he announced a final rock tour of 40 shows, his body aching but his spirit fierce. He plans to shift to jazz and swing, adapting to age. Music isn't his job, it's his life. Rod's story isn't just about 250 million albums sold or being knighted in 2016. It's about surviving cancer, heartbreak, and loss. He lost love, homes, and nearly his voice, but kept singing. As friends like Ozzy Osbourne pass away, Rod stands as a survivor, his raspy voice a testament to resilience. Should he retire to rest with family or sing until his last breath? Share your thoughts, like, and subscribe, because Rod's journey mirrors our own battles with love, loss, and time.